That is an excellent consideration, Bobicus, about the making the deals and all that. Because look, we have our core idea. We can build on top of that as much as we want. We're the DMs here. If you want an involved, like if you think this is going to be a big arc in your story, yes, then I agree. The ultimate goal to buy back the soul of the vagrant, or we learn that it's not just regret and greed that is tying the soul of this dwarf to the casino, but instead it was maybe because he made a devil's deal, and so the devils have used him to make this sort of manifestation point. And maybe we, by defeating him, we might have set him free, or only temporarily, and we need to actually win his soul back from the devil of the place. Pardon me. But yeah, making deals with casino denizens, working. We can pad this, and I don't say that out of disrespect. I mean, we could put a lot more involvement into this dungeon. If you want to keep it streamlined, they show up, enter the casino, move to the next area, have the fight, and then they're out. And then the storm that's going on outside would have conveniently abated. Pardon. Sound like one of the mice here. So DJ, we've been making a dungeon that's modeled around a casino. Okay. So here we made the premise, and now let's talk about filling in details, kind of like what Bobicus was pointing out there. Hey, Astraeus, welcome. In basic concept, all right. So here we go. In basic concept, we have a few things happening. Here is the level of the so here's the swamp, right? We're looking at this as like a side view, okay? And if you remember, the president here has been sculpting all of these like Art Deco statues to hold aloft the bridges in the Stilt City, a little bit at a time. So you have all these like chiseled like abs for days, just like these statues that are holding up the society now above the swamp. And so, atop it, we have, villages, or like these towns, houses and whatnot that are then linked by bridges, that are going between these areas. Okay. And so there could be even like a strong dwarf holding up the bridge here. So what the PCs do is they're running because there's some sort of an unnatural storm that is settling, and everyone has taken cover, and otherwise they're gonna freeze. It's like a snap freeze, or a cold snap, I mean. And by going into one of these statues, they realize that underneath the swamp waters, by the way, is a dwarven civilization, right? And so the dwarf that's running the Confederacy knows this, and even a lot of people by this point know it, but they don't really go underground. But because the dwarves had to come up somewhere, there could even be sort of a natural spire that still pokes up over here. And that's kind of what got the ball rolling. So they take cover, and they find themselves now in the statue that they're exploring, and maybe the scaffolding or something, because it's a ruin underneath the swamp water here. Kind of gives out, and they go woo. They tumble down, and now they're in the old city. Not that they need to go back out, because they're going to die anyway if they do. And from here, there's this natural rock and whatnot that the city was built upon or inside of. And so they have this tunnel that will lead them to a large chamber of some kind. And we said that there were great doors on the other side. And, there was like some rat's nests and other things that were, we can create this encounter, but it's going to help spice things up and even be able to lead to clues and as well as tokens to get in order to set the mood, as Bobicus had offered, right? So there's actually somewhat similar to those like big Art Deco hands. Maybe on each door, there's a hand that is being held out, and you have to put, like a 50 gold piece gem into it to show that you're serious about coming here to gamble. So now, beyond, we have this sort of phantasmal place. Whoops. Forest Gnome Barbarian. Well, welcome back to the living, DJ. Snaps a tree branch off a tree. Better believe it, whippersnapper. Delcorin, hey, you hoodlum, get off my lawn and stop breaking my trees. Shakes his cane at the young whippersnapper. I'll make you fetch your own switch that I'll use on your butt. Meme said could make the dungeon into its own little zone. Yeah, so we can even have it be sort of extra otherworldly, right? Oh, and Astreus, you got home from playing D&D? I hope your game went well, Astreus. Welcome, and thanks for joining us here for this. Alright, so that was the entrance with the Guardian. Now the Puzzle RP challenge here. And here, this is where we say, alright, so we're going to have like an arena for some gladiatorial stuff. We'll have sort of like an area for our carousers. Whoops. Right? Kind of like a bar or a stage or something for performers. So we'll have like a dining area here. And then the floor can be filled with, all kinds of different games of chance. And, we could have a balcony. It could be 50 feet high. Like, it's in a big chamber. It's beautiful. It's gilded. It's obviously standing apart from this very, like, rough-hewn area that's out here. And yet, there's still a set of double doors right here that the group can't get through. Because they don't have the right gems to put into the grabby hands. So this is where they go through their challenges, right? And here, then, in our trick or setback, they realize that there's even more. And so they actually leave this very pristine casino. And we go through more sort of like wiggly dwarven tunnel. Kind of coming back around. They're learning. Perhaps they even kind of go by some old buildings as part of this ruined, abandoned dwarven city. And they're getting clues, right? They're getting clues about the history of this place. Maybe that kind of opens up into a big cavern. I mean, you could put all kinds of stuff here. I just want to kind of get back open to this, or to the open area here. All right, and then boom. Let's see. Maybe the hands gave them the gems back on the inside to gamble with so that they just prove they had the wealth. And so we'll have the same mechanic here where the special high roller tokens are going to be returned to them by the grabby hands in the door right here. Right? The odd round building in a dwarven. There we go. Yeah, hobbits are trademarked, so halflings, right? When Amazing was given a tavern, killed some fish people, talked to a dragon, hinted at my amazing backstory. You were given a tavern. I mean, not that a lot of other cool stuff didn't happen, but I don't hear about that as often as, you know, fights and dragons. What are you willing to go into a little bit more detail, Astreus? Delcorn shakes his cane in fear at that upstart DJ here. Maybe a large roulette table for a fighting room? Yeah, like, we want to make this a set piece of some kind, because it's going to be the big fight. And so this is the high roller area that we're talking about. Now, mind you, we're plotting out the dungeon. It doesn't have to be, again, on isometric graph paper or the like in order to have a dungeon. MS Paint, this can work. Mad Max, Beyond the Thunderdome in corduroy. In fact, one of the reasons why maybe they heard that scream, we could even say that there is a whoops. Oh, that's fine. We'll make it green. There could have even been a secret, even if it's only one way. There could be a secret door going back to the entrance here, and this is where the vagrant who tried to take shelter from the storm was whisked away. Maybe the vagrant even knows of this, and this is how he was stealing the drawings of the ghost here. Our team rescued the friend of a noble from a mind flayer, and in return we were given a tavern. Though we had to rebuild most of it, which included trying to get a loan, which everyone was rejected. But then I was given the money when I slipped the banker my real name without the others hearing me. Ooh, a little bit of intrigue at the table, huh? And maybe have a large marble that has a chance of hitting the NPCs if the end of their turn. Yeah, I like DJ. I like having dynamic fights where there's some kind of a stage hazard, and it's not just the boss, right? It's not just the monsters, or it's not just the boss. It's a weather condition, a lighting condition. There's a stage hazard, like in Smash Brothers. Things along those lines. My buddies want me to DM a session for them. I've been playing for 2 years but never DM'd, and they're all newbies. getting pre-performance anxiety. Well, Shawnee Cage, again, you're in the right place. If we can help you plan, I mean, hopefully, Sean, if you've been here, if you've been listening to our methodology and the way that we're going about planning a casino dungeon, I hope this is relaxing for you and you're not feeling as tense about it. So let's go through and let's consider now the details. What would the encounters be like? What would the box text be like? If we were to make this in a module that you could run for your players, as much as, you know, the time that we have is going to allow for that. I'm not going to go through making a nice fancy looking PDF. Like, this is the map you're getting of the dungeon, by the way, everyone. I might add some more details to it later, but... getting awesome ideas and inspiration. You're very welcome, Shawnee Cage, or Sean, if that's just easier. That's why we're here. Oh, hey, I'm going to be running some Ravnica tomorrow and Sunday. It's a solid level 1 adventure daily, and I'll tell you this, because it won't spoil anything in that packet. A lot of what we're talking about here for this style of encounter is... you're going to find that in here. You're going to find these basic concepts we were talking about tonight in there. It doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's good. And I think Magic players can take a lot away from the details and some of the names that have been dropped in the mod, as well as D&D players who may not know the setting, but it'll play through like a D&D adventure. I was planning on a bit of Krenko for my one-shot idea with a few goblins and a loading rig. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff for that. Sean says, it's a pretty unique stream. I found it when you were making that map the other day. 99% of the people in this section are just playing. It is mostly for play, yeah. I would say, though, that we're playing D&D right now, all of us together, because this is very much D&D. Is the discussion, is the planning, and is teaching other people how to play as well. And so I'm very glad that you found us and you're sticking around, and I'm glad we're helping give you some ideas. You think they'll release it on DM's Guild after tomorrow? Do you think I'll have to wait for the Season of Adventurers League? I'll have to check into that for you daily. As well, I'll check and see if it's just not something that after the weekend is done, if I can't just produce it for you all, because the adventure has already been run. Estrellas was continuing. I'm playing a Glazia tiefling, whose parents were well off, high elf and Eladrin. They were murdered for practicing dark arts, and when myself and my twin sister were discovered. My sister was taken, and I was rescued and escaped to Waterdeep with the help of a warlock. I became a rogue, like my mother, but started to hear voices, the voice of my father's Hexblade patron. I go by a fake name that my team knows, but I keep my real name to myself, unless I know I can help us. Ah, okay. Let's see. I guess we'll just put, like, title of dungeon here. The weather suddenly turns as you are on your way to one of the other city-states. With little time to find shelter in this odd phenomena. I guess non, that's singular. With little time to find shelter in this odd phenomenon, you notice that one of the statues being built by decree of the president is nearby and incomplete. A large open section into... Now, this is where we're going to have some symbolism, by the way, if we really wanted to. You know, if we're kind of like going into the belly of the beast here, or if we find some other appropriate adage or fable or pun. But we can say a large open section into the belly of the statue. Seems like a viable hiding spot. Or I guess a viable spot to ride out the storm. As you enter the statue, some kind of shout can be heard further down, as if someone is in distress. Climbing down the scaffolding, you find where the new construction ends and the natural stone floor of the swamp begins. A tunnel continues beyond an antechamber. Following the tunnel further, you enter an open space that looks like an area the old dwarves had carved out as a reception hall. Two great doors stand at the other end of the chamber, each with a strong hand held out as if to receive something or someone. Roxy! Hello, welcome. We're making a dungeon. Be nice if the players were put in some sort of debt that they didn't know that they were getting into. Again, that's all context to the overarching story, I suppose. Or it could be a twist at the end. That could be true. Maybe one of the players, if they decide to keep the coin leads to treasure, but the coin carries a curse. I think that could be an interesting sort of moral finale to this little side story. And it's here then we can put something like examination of the hands. Show the design to be similar to that of the statues above. There is also a small indentation in each palm. And we can assign something, you know, like, depending on the level that we want to scale this, this dungeon, you know, we could just call for something like, 13 perception. This is not, by the way, this is not formatted, as per you would find in a module. This is conceptual only. So I don't want to get hung up on the minutia of the details. I want to get the thoughts out there so we can think about it and really look. You're going to run this at your table. You're going to run it in your own language in your own ways. You know, we're not making this for a D&D module. Roxy, don't. Yeah, you're fine. Forget about it. Further inspection. I don't know. We can even just say like 13 investigation. Reveals that the indentations appear to be scales, requiring some kind of weight to be put into them. Any examination of the sides of the chamber disturb the... we can call them like rat's nests or something else. They can even be giant rats or dire rats or something like that if we want. The rat's nests. And causes a... a fight to break out. Any inspection of the nests will reveal an amount of 50 gold piece gems sufficient to allow the party past the doors. +1. Past the doors. The hands close on the gems and pull back as if they were opening the doors for the party themselves by retreating. Inside or beyond the doors is a lit, warm, scented hallway filled with sounds of laughter and merrymaking. The PCs will find that cosmetically they are all dressed in period clothes appropriate to old, high, dwarven fashion. The doors behind them close, and the ones in front will open, revealing a grand, immaculate casino. The hands reach around the open doors to present the gems back to the party. From here, the group can explore their new locale as the doors once more close behind them. Cranium rats? That could be very interesting, actually, DJ. Dire rats, yeah. Bobicus, I'm thinking that's why the Vagrant got dragged off. The players came across him, not in distress, but playing a card game with some other people. The players are invited into the game with a free gift of some tokens. Regardless if they join, the Vagrant starts losing heavily. He's out of chips when his fellow players turn into ghoulish figures and drag him underground. Oh, so something like that could occur. I would like to think, though, that maybe he was stealing these drawings in order to... maybe he doesn't have to. I guess it depends. If we want to develop him as a character, especially if we want to put in that air of mystery or the fact that, look, he's an honest guy, but it's just that he didn't tell people that, yes, he's a good painter, he's just not a good drawer. But he's actually been raiding this stash of old dwarven sketches to then paint and sell because, hey, there's a market for dwarven stuff since the dwarves have taken over managing this confederacy. Bobicus, traditionally you get invited to the high roller area when you start making lots of really big bets, win or lose, yes. Main casino floor. 10 different games of chance. 1 fighting arena. 1 bar and stage area for dining and performances. Another set of hands across from the doors that appear finer and require some different kind of object or currency to be placed inside. The patrons at first glance are all very well dressed and carry themselves naturally. Upon closer inspection, it seems as if they are all dead. Laughter emits from a long, withered elf woman, yet she has no lips nor tongue to produce the noise. Her jaw hinges unnaturally, yet nothing she wears shows any kind of distress nor decay. The only other creatures, I guess the only other people here who don't look dead upon inspection are some small servers carrying trays. They have wings and tails. though they appear to be tastefully bound. A large figure dressed in fine clothes walks among the tables, examining what is happening at them. At one point, he grabs a patron by the throat and shouts something about cheating before ripping the man in half. And you know what? By doing this, by the way, you're foreshadowing. You're allowing your players to cheat in these games of chance, but they're taking a risk in doing so. The man turns to dust and disappears, leaving no trace behind. Now, of course, if you're making the floor plans here, you're going to need a place to exchange your gems for chips. You might want to go into what is the bar serving. Are there, men or women that are, dancing or providing, entertainment services on the stage or on the bar itself, if you've ever been to Las Vegas. In the gladiatorial arena, if they have a referee of some kind. So again, at here, in order to drive home the point, so apparently there are devils here, but maybe there's just the one big one and a bunch of little imps that are serving. Can you imagine a bunch of little imps walking around in cocktail dresses, asking you if you want, if you want another rum and coke or something? So here, challenges. We could set it to be arbitrary because we'll control the currency here. But it could, so if everyone has 50 gold pieces, and I don't know, you would calculate it, right? You have, if there's 5 party members and they each have a 50 gold piece gem, that'd be 250. But remember, there's an extra gem. So they would technically have 300 gold pieces worth. And so we have to say something like, so win 1,000 gold worth of chips. Or if someone is a money bags and they just drag a bunch of valuable stuff here, they could bypass it all. I mean, in so doing, they're missing clues, they're missing possible contacts, and a bunch of other stuff. But if, I don't know, if by this point someone says, yeah, I actually have I have 1,000 gold piece, I have 1,000 gold piece gem right here. Unless everyone needs to turn 50 into, or whatever. We could haggle with the rules. But I don't know, we'll just say win 1,000 gold pieces worth of chips in order to turn them in for a high roller token, which is what the other hands will accept. Fighting. A combatant can earn money by overcoming challenges in the pit. The more difficult the fight, the more money he or she can win. So, I don't know, you have a barbarian that wants to, try and pull his or her, her rank, or not her rank, to pull her weight in this group. Send the barbarian to the fighting pit. Now, mind you, this means that you can grind down your amount of hit points and your hit dice and all this other stuff, because you might tell everyone with this circumstance, you can't rest. Or, you know, you might only get a short rest. That'd be up to you to determine. How weird do you want to make this place? And so if you're a level 5 barbarian who's willing to go up against a CR5, like a solo, a CR5 monster, maybe that has a big payout, right? Because a CR5 is supposed to be able to take on, you know, it's supposed to be a fair challenge for 4 level 5 characters. Well, here we only have 1. Or if 2 want to sign up and make it a 2. So you can make it a beast pit, or they fight undead, or something else. Performing. Remember, offer alternatives to your party to think. An entertainer can earn money via chips by singing, dancing, telling jokes, or otherwise providing a good time to the patrons. Successful performance checks versus a rival or a DC set by the audience can earn more and more money. Gambling. Come up with any number of games to play with your PCs. Either in or out of character. Be sure that if one or more of them are proficient in a game set, that they can use that skill appropriately. Even offer them the chance to cheat for a higher reward to match the risk. See, Pit Boss. So here, fighting and drinking and carousing and gambling. And here we can also say we can make a rumor table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. And depending on how well they do if they're not gambling, or even if they are, if they're just carousing or they're trying to get information, then the patrons here can offer different rumors or different clues. In fact, we can even break it down and say, and go guest rumor table, and because remember the employees are apparently devils. Employee rumor table, and then again like 1, 2, 3. Maybe there's only 4 that they're willing to part. Something like that. Uh-oh, being raided. And yeah, hey, as a DM, you can always do that and say, secretly say, table number 3, there, it's the hardest table. Or even you can say, this is, for the normal floor, this is the hard table. You'll always be at disadvantage here, but you can have higher rewards. And look, you can get 3 Dragon Ante, by the way. It's a physical game that you can purchase if you wanted to. Or you could play chess with your players, or you could do it as a series of skill challenges that's an appropriate DC for the level that they're going through. Or, if you don't want to scale it that way, do kind of what Bobicus is talking about. Right? And you let your players naturally decide where they want to go. And so you decide that maybe this is the... Here we go. Hey, Nerdalopedia, I saw you streaming earlier, but I couldn't stop in because I was getting ready to stream myself. So thank you very much for the raid and for stopping in. We're making a dungeon that is a casino, and that is based in the campaign that we've been building since last week, just bit by bit. And so yeah, you can assign different DCs, and you could say this table is a 10. So maybe it actually has a low payout because it's kind of like the kiddie table, right? So, you know, here you have a 10 in one game, and you have a 10 in another game, and then you have a 15 in that game. And then you have a 15 in another game, but a 20. And you don't have to go by 5. You could make it an 18 if you want. It's fine. It's fine. So here we go into the odd numbers, right? This is a 17. Here, this is actually an 8. And maybe this has a big, mean old dealer, you know, who just looks like he'll tear you in half like the pit boss. But really, he's a big softy and probably doesn't do his job very well, so he's a pushover. But the adventurers would have to be bold enough to take him on as the dealer in order to find out he's actually kind of bad at his job. You know, we have a 20. We can even put like a 25. Oh, this is like the epic. Like, no one ever wins at this table. And then, you know, put another one. Here's a 12. And here's a 13. Right? We had a different GM tonight. He ran a game where he let the players have serious effects on the world, so he introduced the Warforged. Oh, hey. I like it when you can have that sort of interaction back and forth. And thank you, Nerdalopedia. Look, honestly, we're making a dungeon in MS Paint, and this is the dungeon right here. All we did was we rolled randomly, and then we took some of the context from the story that we've been building so far. We went through the 7 things to make sure to have in a dungeon, and then the 5-room dungeon model. And if you're not familiar, it's all here, and I mean, you could catch it in a VOD or on YouTube if you'd like. All of this is D&D, but we have hardly rolled, we've rolled 1 die, I think. We haven't gotten into obscure rulings and DM, you know, where, DM complications and where gears are grinding, and we'll say, oh, we're so bogged down in charts and rules, and oh, I hate D&D. Why did I ever do this? This has been pure imagination, and it all works, and I really hope that it encourages and empowers people. One of the dealers can be bribed to deal you winning hands. That could even be it too, Bobicus. Right? So when you're going through this, right? So you have the rumor tables, and you could put, you know, 3 Dragon Ante DC 10, and you could make a quick little NPC, like that's our exercises we were doing earlier this week. Make a quick little NPC, just 3 sentences. And put this stuff to uncover. Reward your players for searching the dungeon. Or punish them as well. Don't be afraid of that. You know, for failing, or for, for failing a check, or to even just fail to ask, or something along those lines. So now they've been held up in the main casino floor, right? We've gone through these steps. They receive the high roller tokens, and they look differently, and they place them in the hands that were protruding from this other set of doors right over here. And so now, the second set of doors pull themselves open, revealing a mix of the opulence of the illusory casino, question mark, mixed with the dusty reality of the old history of this sunken dwarven city. Wandering down streets long forgotten. The party can see that this was once a lively place and very much opulent on its own. Images carved into the cave walls tell of great deeds by dwarves long past, even by this old place's standard. Eventually, some nice establishments flank the street, giving clues as to how these dwarves used to live. And you can make a side chart of, you know, if they go into one of these nicer houses, they find a porcelain vase worth 25 gold pieces. They find a painting that, you know, you could roll art objects or even some coinage and or little things like that. You could also remind them, hey, these aren't yours. Are you going to disturb the effects of the people who've died here? And after seeing the dead people who are here, which are probably those who are living in the houses around the corner, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But offer that, dangle that moral carrot in front of your players, and see if one or more of them bite onto it. Because you could have another tussle here. You might wake up undead who are very surly at people coming by and trying to gank their stuff. The pit boss has an ongoing problem with one of the patrons for harassing the other guests attempting to steal their chips. But he can't prove it. Provide him with proof and he might reward you. Or you might distract the security long enough to pull some of the shenanigans. Yeah, these are excellent little prompts that can be found out. You know, characters don't have to instantly say, oh, I'm going to go into the fighting pit and just start. They might choose to hang out for a couple hours and just get the vibe, right? Understand what's happening. Bob, because that is really good. At the end of the history of the historic tunnel, another set of fine doors with hands outstretched await you, holding onto your high roller tokens. When you claim them, the doors open. Oh, we should also say the party is still dressed in the finery they found themselves in when entering. Right? You want them to kind of question, oh, what's going on? What is real? What is not? Beyond is a room that makes the apparent wealth of the casino pale in comparison. Here, no undead gamble in the golden halls, or at the golden tables. Devils only deal here. Devils only deal here. By the way, TNG, right? Eh? Come on, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. The party is greeted by the ghost of the dwarf who is bound to this place. But is interrupted by the screaming of the vagrant, whom the ghost describes as a thief who will be punished as entertainment. The party can fight / gamble for the life of the vagrant or let him perish. The party must beat the ghost in order to free the vagrant and themselves. The devils all gather around the arena and place bets on who will win, as a loss by either the party or the ghost will not thin their numbers and only serve to entertain them further. Insert big set piece fight here. Appropriately challenging CR. Stage hazards. Rewards for those who discovered information prior. Rewards for those who use their high roller tokens from before. Defeat of the ghost shunts everyone still living into reality, where they stand in the actual condition of the place they once were. Cracked, dusty, abandoned, filled with death. They may escape through a hidden passage back to the first room they came across before entering the casino. And after this, if you want to have something like secrets, the coin of the ghost, the treasure of the ghost, maybe NPC's lost trinket or something like that. Things along those lines. Hey, Flump. Hey, only here for a short bit because I need to get up in 8 hours to DM again. Flump, we have had an amazing dungeon plotting session. I am super stoked for it. And I hope that, as Diadems asked, I hope that your 3 sessions, I guess you ran 2 because of another early morning obligation. But I hope that that it went well. In fact, I was glad to see Jericho is joining the fabled. I can't say that because that's actually a tier. The hallowed halls, the ranks of adventurers in D&D time. It seemed like he had a good time with his character. And as much as I can, I watch you guys before I go live because I really enjoy your program. For all of you who are here, if you do not already watch or follow D&D time, Flump, you can put a link to your channel, brother. You're welcome to do so. I highly encourage it, especially if you're looking to play D&D. If you're in your Jurassic Park one, I loved it. Oh, I was rolling. If you want to play D&D, talk to Pete and Jeremy. And they also do workshops like what we're doing here too. It's a solid channel. I don't know if Katie Sue is still here, or any of her players. If so, you all can Doomfish. If you're here, if you want to put a link over to your all's game. Neo Realms was actually playing a War of the Worlds miniature game the last time I popped into his channel. We have a lot of other cool role players here, and you are welcome to talk about your games and share them, especially as we have them here in our on our Discord, and you can post them under your streams. But yeah, Flumph, this dungeon has me so stoked and excited. I love it. It is, again, the power of random number generation and just letting your imagination go. We're not even rules heavy on 5th Ed. We haven't gotten into the rules of minutia, or we haven't rolled on a ton of charts. I showed them off. Look, it's here. You want to make a random dungeon? Break out a D20 and a percentile set, and you could get the width of passages, what type of door, the dimensions of chambers, stairs that do this, that, or the other. You can customize it. Is your dungeon a lair? Is it a planar gate? There's all sorts of things that we can go through if you're having writer's block for NaNoWriMo, go to the DMG. You could be writing gritty, modern murder mystery. Go to the DMG. It doesn't have to just be about D&D or a Western fantasy setting. It's great inspiration. But we haven't been hitting this terribly hard. All of this has just been creative writing as we're making what we need to make. Because look, making a fight isn't that difficult. There's a blurb about it in the DMG, and I believe it's also repeated in the Monster Manual. You want to make a trap in Dungeons and Dragons, where traps are a staple. I will show you all here how big the trap section is. Here we go, on page 120. Bink, ta-da! It's like 2 pages. I'm sorry, 3. 3 pages of a handful of traps to give you inspiration. You know why? Because this edition gives you the tools to make your own. You want to know how to make a trap in 5th Ed? Bink, it's right here. Be creative. Come up with what you want. Poison darts, spears, whatever. Bip, 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 bip. That is every trap in 5th Ed. Now, you can find others that are printed in other supplements or the like. I don't want to discourage you, from using what is printed elsewhere. But if you abide by what you see up here, you can make whatever trap you want in this game. Do not be confined by what other people have written in the rule books. And the rule books will remind you of that frequently. So if we wanted to, I don't know, we say that the party's level 6 coming through here, right? So we go and we say, all right, after reading what a setback is, it's unlikely to kill or seriously harm characters, whereas a dangerous trap will seriously injure and potentially kill characters. A deadly trap is likely to just kill a character of the indicated level. So if this is a level 6 dungeon that we are expertly crafting in MS Paint, by the way, you don't need fancy software for D&D. I don't know. Let's make a falling rock trap or something right here, okay? They're level 6. So let's zoom in. We determine, well, at this point in the dungeon, we kind of want to soften them up a little bit, right? Maybe they had a really good go in the casino, and they're still a little fresher than what I want them to be. Let's make it a dangerous, okay? So we're going to make this be a dangerous trap. So we're going to set the AC between 12 and 15. And, or if it's not a save versus an effect, then if we're making an attack roll, it'll be between 6 and 8. And I don't know, we say we want to roll to hit with the boulder instead of having it be a dex save to jump out of the way, because of the way the trap was set up. And you know what, you might have a player say, but a rolling rock is supposed to be a dex save. Okay, in some context, but this is how I describe the trap. I was rolling to hit you with the rock. Maybe because it wasn't just rolling by its own accord. It could have been directed. And we come down here. All right, so characters from 5th to 10th level. It's dangerous. And so if we hit with our attack, it's going to deal 4d10, in this case, bludgeoning damage. If we want it to be a spiked ball, then it's 4d10 piercing damage. If we want it to be a rolling ball of tar that's on fire, 2d10 bludgeoning, 2d10 fire. Or 3d10 fire, 1d10 bludgeoning. We're still dealing 4d10 damage. Does that make sense? And for all of you who are prospective DMs, this is as easy as it gets. You make the trap that you want. You can find inspiration in a lot of other places. But if you go by with what the basic math is, the sky's the limit. And considering we're talking about being in a dungeon, that's pretty cool, huh? And remember, secrets. Oh. The coin of the ghost is cursed, but will allow access to the treasure of the ghost. So whoever gets it is going to be bound to this like haunted or cursed coin, which will bring them ill fortune or could even repeat the cycle. Because maybe that enters them into the contract with the devils. Just as the devils made a contract with this obsessive gambler. This dwarf who's sort of acting as a gateway to where the devils deal. I kind of like that. The devil's deal casino. Or is that too lame? Is that too direct? That might be too direct, right? Can you think of a more subtle name for this casino? But remember, when we were going through, remember our 5 rooms. Now there's more than 5 rooms here, right? I mean, we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with possibly others, 8. There are 5 plot points to the dungeon you want to make sure that you hit, however they manifest. And make sure that somewhere scattered throughout this, you have these 7 things. Something to steal. Something to be killed. Something to kill you. Different paths. Someone to talk to. Something to experiment with. And something the players probably won't find. Something the players probably will not find. Something more dwarven. Yeah, we can come up with something like that. Actually, I kind of wonder if we do. So what if it was something like the sign read dwarf, but then so the D remained. The W kind of turned on its hinge. The A turned upside down. For the I. Part of the sign kind of fell off. And the F. Lucky Lilith for the name. Although, why are they naming her after a, I was thinking Merilith, but, you know, for a demon. Maybe the name could allude to an entity like a named god or such. Related to money or prosperity. Yeah, so if you have a dwarven pantheon, right? So we have like Caesar's palace, and it has like Poseidon's whatever, or you know all the electronic. You know, it's King Tut's treasure, and it's a slot machine. Yeah, you could name it after a pantheon. You could name it after a lot of things. In fact, hey, you know what we could name it? There is a tavern name generator here in the DMG, and we use this to get the Frowning Star, which is the main tavern up in the Confederacy, right? Not that there's not a lot of other ones. It's not like some 2,000 person, colony. There's a lot of people that live there. We can even just go completely rando. Here. It is going, we can even call it the 9-8. The Slaughtered Wolf. The Devil's Chance. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can go through and name it. Or remember, if this is a casino, it's something that, so what would, is it, Moradin's Vault, and that's the casino. Or it could be something, it could be named after a very important person. It could even be named after this ghost we're going to be fighting ourselves. Because maybe you don't get clues, or this is a clue. It's a big thing of foreshadowing. So it's a dwarven name. It's, I don't know. Reorx is, I know Reorx is a god in Dragonlance for dwarves. It's Reorx Palace. It's Reorx Clan Hall. The tables of, the tables of Osric. It's very literal, but maybe that's what the dwarven language is. Have fun. Have it be an extension of the culture of your world, of your campaign, of your faiths, of your cultures that you're instituting here. Have it be a clue and a foreshadow. Maybe, what if the ghost does this? What if the ghost is tremendously powerful, but if you can speak the ghost's name, he loses power, right? True name magic can be a lot of fun to play with, but that could be a weakness to this villain. Actually, you know what? We made a weakness to the villain. Yeah, when we made our villain. The villain loses its power if a mystic bargain it struck long ago is completed. Hello! It works, right? It's organic. It builds on everything we've already accounted for. You already know the clues to sprinkle into your dungeon. Like Rumpelstiltskin, exactly, Meme Drag. And you can have some sort of a challenge where someone has to, speak the name. Well, this combat, you want a stage hazard? Someone has to speak the name, and as soon as, Rum, and he says, no! Or even the devils who don't want this deal to be broken, start, shouting and trying to distract. And so it becomes a concentration test for someone. So someone in the group has to stand out of combat to provide the combat benefit of trying every round to get a syllable out. Rum, pull, stiltskin. That's 4 rounds. 4 rounds in a boss fight combat. If you're down one of your party members because they have to speak and not do anything else, that's big. John, Jacob, Jingleheimer, Schmidt. And the ghost replies, his name is my name too. Whenever I went out, the people always shout. And then this is when the devil chorus, you know, pipes up. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. I mean, so I made it silly, but could you imagine that? In a crowded arena, all of these devils dressed in like fine clothes that are gambling money on your life, on your stakes, with this ancient ghost which is holding the pact of these devils to manifest in this world, in this casino. And, you know, someone in the group has to stand out and shout the true name of the ghost. And maybe it was there the whole time in the casino. Or maybe you come up with a name that's 10 letters long. Because every, oh, actually, let me be clever. No, hang on. I don't know. I'll preserve the map. Anyway, in, nope, not that. Okay, so here we go. If you want something like a name, a name puzzle, this is an excellent one from the book Redwall. So you can have somewhere written here. I'll use like a darker color. So or somewhere around the casino, you see, whoops, I want dark. All right, so you have something like this. I am that is. It sounds ominous. You're like, oh, there's devils and undead around. You know, in a meta sense, as players, we're getting kind of psychologically tricked a bit, right? Right? I am that is. And maybe you see this everywhere. Maybe it's even on the name tags. You know, I am that is. And then it just says, you know, like, the devil or something. Hey, Victor, welcome. And you see this everywhere. I am that is. I am that is. Finally, we get to the boss fight, and the ghost says, do you know my name? Can you release me from my contract? And you have to shout his name. And everyone's thinking, his name. Maybe they did find clues. Maybe they didn't. Oh, what does it mean? I am that is. I am that is. What can it mean? What can it mean? And you can... Now... You can leave this to your players as human beings. I would... Not everyone as a human being is good at puzzles or riddles. Just as we're talking about for the dungeon, right? Offer an alternative path. Offer a path, so if you have a keen human player... then maybe they can solve it. Otherwise, maybe you make it through some checks, some wisdom checks to remember, or intelligence checks, or investigations, or things like that. A name tag saying, hello, I am that is. Maybe everyone is wearing that. And you're like, hello, I am that is. Although in this case, the punctuation is going to come in handy. Because if you don't want a comma, then in this case, you can make it a... a dash. I am that is. And they think, oh, the clues are around us, and they start, all this. And suddenly, one of your players goes, aha! Your true name is... Am... Oh, that should be 2 T's. I messed up. THATIS. Am that is Matthias, the true name of the ghost. They didn't even have to defeat the ghost. They didn't have to combat it if they were just paying attention to the clues. Or they could beat it down because, hey, maybe the party wants to get into a fight, and that's fine. Alternative paths. I, Matthias, I am that is. The clues were there the whole time. All right, you're going to hit the hay. Be well, Flumph. Roxy says, for my Warlock character, instead of the leather armor he starts with, can I have an enchanted smart business suit with the same AC as the leather armor? That's up to your DM, Roxy. You're working on a narrated adventure. I play it, I roll it, I narrate it. Oh, so it's like a single player. Yeah. That's a good way to practice improvisation, Victor. Does this make sense? Is this cool? Is this something you might use? Red rum. Red rum. Yep, DJ, I mean, you could sprinkle clues however you'd like. The One-Eyed Tyrant's Tower. Well, hey, if you're having fun with it, and it's getting you to think, because you think, well, what happened to why is he a tyrant? What happened to his eye? What's with the tower? You're creating something, and you're answering your own questions through improv. I think that's a good exercise for you, Victor. So the dungeon takes us back around. The snowstorm that's this magical chaff grenade that went off is clear. And we get back to the adventure, but now we're either monetarily richer, culturally richer, or we have more contacts or information, all of which is extremely valuable. And also, depending on the actions that took place down here, hopefully no one's lost, but and all is gained. But I think there's so much that over the course of, they could even come back out and everyone says, you've been gone a week. We thought you fell into the swamp. What, a week? It's only been 6 hours. We've just been gambling at tables and we had a pit fight. What are you talking about? No, it's been a week. in this ghostly netherly realm. Maybe every hour is a day. It's like a hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball. Yeah, exactly, meme. It was there the whole time. And you know what your players are going to do? Whoa, hey, that's cool. It was there. It was in front of us. Oh, I should have picked it up. I even read that book, or things along those lines. But when you're in the mix, you might not think about that. And it simulates the same pressure the characters might be feeling when they're on the spot. And especially as you as a DM say, all right, Linda, what are you doing? Okay, Tom, what are you doing? We go around. Victor, what are you doing? Okay, good. DJ, what's your turn? Gotcha. Drag, come on. Hey, Drag, you gotta... you're in a high-stress situation. And now all of a sudden, as the DM, you're controlling the tempo, even though it's a regular fight or it's going through a dungeon. Hey, Bobo, welcome. Hey, so we have Bobo. Do we still have Bobicus? We're only missing Bubonic one before we have the Balluminati back again. Working on the map for the adventure or maps to sound more appropriate? Yeah. Victor, it's, again, you're doing good stuff, doing practice. You're doing what we're doing up here. And it is excellent practice. It opens your mind. It helps you make connections to learn, and especially if you're picking up some architecture along the way. If you're gonna be building this tower as a map, maybe you learn some terminology. You learn some different aspects of how towers are built, or some decorative purposes, or religious or other purposes for towers. That kind of a thing. You're expanding your mind, and you're becoming a more solid role player as both DM and PC. You can finally play a DM PC and no one will criticize me. So, well, has this been helpful? Have you enjoyed this workshop? Scaling an encounter in combat is just the same as making a trap. Look at a chart. Adjust a couple numbers and you're good. Reskin a monster that's already made for you. If you want a dire rat, then reskin a brown bear as a rat. It's not... What are your players going to do? Say that is statistically a brown bear and my immersion is ruined? Or as you're talking about a rat, a very, very, a rodent of unusual size here, come stalking out, they're going to be in that mode. And you don't have to do a ton of extra math for it either. So, I really do hope that you enjoy the dungeon making session. I'm really excited by it, and it's a good exercise in improv, in thinking, in throwing out some some numbers, delving a bit into the mechanics of D&D, but not to a prohibitive state where if you've never played before, you might feel lost about what's happening, what's going on. All right, Victor, be well. Thank you for dropping by. Well then, everyone, it's 3 a.m. And I should be going to bed soon because I am going to be running the Ravnica crossover module at my store tomorrow. So I'm going to be running it at noon and 4 on Saturday and noon and 4 on Sunday. So why don't we hop over and watch... let's watch Lieutenant Virus. He's actually running a campaign. He's probably going to be practicing this stuff that we've been preaching here because it's a homebrew for him, if I recall correctly. So... Oh, you like that? Well, dungeon creation's not, isn't too scary, Roxy. Will I be streaming it? I will not be. DJ, I do not have the equipment for that right now. That's one of the reasons why I do sell the miniatures on stream. And, you know, I try not to be obnoxious about it by like, goal, buy me this stuff. But one of my goals for the channel is to be able to afford some extra gear so that I can present you all a high-quality stream when I do run D&D at my store. But for this weekend, or for tomorrow and Sunday, I will not be broadcasting my runs of Krenko's Way. So thank you all for joining me. I'm going to pass you off to an excellent DM here with Lieutenant Virus. Yeah, because for that chocolate, I would need to make kind of like a mobile rig. You know, have its own laptop and some other, and some, you know, at least 2 cameras and a decent microphone as well. You know, I'm not looking to put on, you know, I'm not going to be streaming 4K 120 FPS or anything like that. But I would want it to be at least a halfway decent setup for me to do that. And so it's a goal for the channel that perhaps I'll be able to reach that in this coming year. Roxy, thank you for saying so. I'm glad you enjoy the workshops as well. Especially as a new player, I don't want you to feel scared or intimidated because you see a bunch of numbers and rules and charts and you think that I have to memorize everything. Most of everything that we've done, just, I mean, really with all this project about this Arctic swamp area and the characters, you know, most of it's just been us sitting and talking, throwing out ideas, saying, this sounds cool. Let's use it. Because that's D&D. Just with a little randomness mixed in, right? A little sprinkle of dice rolls. So anyway, let's hop over. Again, thank you all so much for your time, your follows. For those of you who subscribe to the channel, I very much appreciate it. And it's I feel very fortunate to get to know so many wonderful people, whether they're longtime players or they're fresh faces to the hobby. Thank you very, very much. Because you are also empowering and encouraging to me as much as I hope I am to you in your own ways. So let's go give Lieutenant Virus a hi, a howdy, and hope that his players are faring well. Be well, everyone.